Well, welcome to Silverstone for the 16th round of the 2024 GB3 Championship. I'm John Jackson, Piers alongside me, and it's Silverstone, it's 2024, and the sun is almost coming out. And I say that because last time you were here, I wasn't here. Torrential rain. We only had 2 races that weekend. It's nice to see the weather is going to behave itself this weekend.
It was freezing last time we were here, but I'm glad to say that it's not freezing. I'm still got trousers on. Shorts haven't quite come out yet. You've got your shorts on, but yeah, it should be a good weekend of racing.
Yeah, it will indeed. Obviously, we are getting to the business end of the season now. We have 3, I say rounds. Obviously, the rounds, there's 3 rounds this weekend. There's also 3 different, what would you say, race weekends? 3 more race weekends.
Events.
3 more events in the season. We have here at Silverstone, we obviously have Donington Park and then Brands Hatch. So the drivers at the top of the table, and the drivers maybe a little bit further back who are hoping to be involved in the title picture, they're very much going to have a good weekend here. They're going to stand a chance in keeping pace with the other drivers. And Mackenzie Creswell, straight away, has put his name back into the hat because he's kind of on the periphery of the championship at the moment, but we know what Mackenzie can do, and we know how strongly he finished the season last year.
Yeah, he had a really strong end to last year. I think in the last 3 events last year, I think he was the highest or second highest scoring driver. The elite motorsport car always goes well at Silverstone for whatever reason. Tom Leben taking victories and podiums. Mackenzie Creswell's been quick here in the past as well, and proved that again this morning with a double pole position, so we'll see him start from pole position in this race and race 2.
Obviously Louis Sharp in second for this first race in the Rodin car. We know what Louis Sharp can do. We know that he's been setting great pace in testing this past weekend. When you look at Silverstone, and we'll see our track guide very soon, but when we look at Silverstone, the first corner here, it differs from what you might have seen at the British Grand Prix, because obviously we're using the traditional pit lane here, we're not using the F1 pit lane. The first corner here is very far. I mean, it's pretty fast on the F1 track as well. So when you're on pole position with a very fast driver alongside you, what kind of things are you looking to do into that first corner on pole?
It's just about getting off the line. We've seen it time and time again in the GB3 Championship, but in any single seaters especially. Getting to the first corner first is the most important thing, because you can control so much there. If you get to the first corner and you're behind a couple of places, it's hard to do more. And we're starting over here in the historic pit lane, not by the wing. So turn 1 is the quick right-hander of Copse. And then we've got Maggots and Beckett straight after, so that kind of filters everyone down in single file by the time we get to the Hangar Straight and Stowe. So there's still plenty of opportunities for overtaking. Silverstone suits these cars so well, so high speed, so smooth. We can overtake around here with the 2 long straights, Wellington and Hangar Straight. So yeah, we'll see, but it's going to be, I think, whoever gets this first corner first is going to have the control of the race going forward.
Yeah, it's a nice wide track. A lot of the drivers that I've caught up with that we're going to see a little bit later in this pre-show, they're saying that they love how wide it is, how there's great opportunities to overtake. Timet Kaharczyk in the high-tech Pulsate car, he comes into this weekend as the championship leader, and he's been very impressive this season, his second season in the GB3 Championship. Yeah,
no doubt, he's been very good, especially all of the high-tech drivers in the flyaway rounds, the European road trip that we've been on with those 3 epic circuits. We're back at another Formula 1 circuit, but Silverstone back on home ground in the UK for the GB3 Championship, of course, UK-based championship. But high-tech haven't quite had the stranglehold in terms of pace that they've had in the previous rounds. Still quick, it's still right up there. Not for Will McIntyre actually, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But yeah, we're Elite Motorsport right up there, Rodin are right up there. Also Arden by VRD, we're up there in testing, didn't quite get it dialed in qualifying, but it's been very close, so should make for close racing.
Well, it's going to be an exciting weekend of racing here at Silverstone. Before we get on and we bring you live coverage of that first race, let's look back at what happened last time out. We had 3 races over in the Netherlands at Zandvoort.
Highlights from the final leg of our European road trip as we went racing at the Zandvoort circuit. Of course, round 13 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. It was John Bennett leading from pole position, with Timothy Kaharczyk going on the attack around the outside. Meanwhile, James Headley was trying to fight his way past his teammate to try and move his way into 3rd position at the first corner. It was John Bennett hanging on to the lead going into the second turn, and that's indeed what he would look forward to. Mackenzie Creswell would go out a little bit wide as he was battling with Louis Sharp, who was dropping down the order. Noah Ping would be off the road also in some very tricky conditions, which would catch out Patrick Huizenmoder as he would unfortunately retire from the race. That would bring out the safety car as the marshals would have to recover that JHR developments car. Whilst we got back racing, it was John Bennett continuing to leading across the line Timothy Kaharczyk and James Headley. The battle behind, though, was being held up slightly as Ed Pearson was going a lap down. Louis Sharp was able to get to the inside. Hugo Schwartz were unable to find his way past and left the door open for Colin Queen to potentially try something heading through the first corner. Meanwhile, Mackenzie Creswell and Noah Ping were making contact heading through the final couple of corners, and it was an unfortunate return to pit lane for the pair of them to repair the damage. Out into the barrier late on in the race, Sebastian Murray would bring out the final double yellow flag, which would slow down racing and allow John Bennett to take over the race victory, of course with Timo Kuharczyk and James Headley behind. Moving on to the second race of the weekend, and it was once again John Bennett starting from the pole position, this time alongside Timo Kuharczyk, who had a better launch down into the first corner. It was a very poor one from John Bennett, and unfortunately there was a very large crash going down into the first corner, or even really on the start-finish straight. It would catch out a whole host of drivers and cause a red flag, meaning that the race would restart from that initial order after a few of those drivers were taken out. It was an excellent start from Hugo Schwarzer, which then got pinched between the likes of Gerard Shee and Will McIntyre. It would take out a couple of the Arden cars, etc., all involved in the mix. Meanwhile, once the race got back going again from the initial restart order, it was still an issued start from John Bennett. It was Timo Kuharczyk to sneak his way around the outside and up into first position, with, of course, the likes of Louis Sharp in behind. Big snaps of oversteer and such as people were struggling with turn 3, and there would be Louis Sharp up into the barrier after contact with John Bennett. Unfortunately, some big drama for the top lot in the championship. It was Timo Kuharczyk, though, who was at the head of the field, poised to take over the championship lead after what has been a very dramatic race, and the car behind him, having some front wing damage in the hands of John Bennett, would allow him to check away into the distance, running as fast as he could back down into turn 1. John Bennett would have to return into pit lane to have a front wing repaired, unfortunately, after that contact with Louis Sharp. It was a victory, though, for Timo Kuharczyk, and it was his 4th of the season, taking over the line comfortably ahead of James Headley, making it back-to-back podiums, and Mackenzie Cresswell up there as well. Of course, a fantastic victory for Kuharczyk, who would then retake over the championship lead, importantly heading into the third race of the weekend, where it was Josh Erfan starting from pole position. However, it was a very poor start from him. Patrick Huizenrode would get to the outside heading down to the first corner and would hang on to the lead. With a bit of a lock-up, though, he would open up the door potentially for a move to come in from Nikita Johnson, who was struggling to find any way past as they were heading their way up towards the tightening section at turn 2 and turn 3 as we head into the Hugenholtz curve. There was a retirement once more for Sebastian Murray, who was not having a particularly good weekend this time by, and all that Nikita Johnson was at the front of the field after a bit of an issue coming in for Patrick Huizenrode. It was Johnson leading from Mackenzie Cresswell, and then Huizenrode as they would head their way back onto the banking, with everyone eyeing up Mackenzie Cresswell as the potential favourite for the race, going on the attack with the experience he's got in the GB3 Championship. It was going to be a tough one for Nikita Johnson. However, he had the pace and had an excellent restart to the race. Waberski was going on the attack this time to the outside of Arthur Rojon, where he was sent off and into the gravel. He'd rejoined, but dropping right the way back outside of the top 10 after that unfortunate moment. Meanwhile, for Nikita Johnson, it was a very well-deserved victory. A dominant performance, was able to pull away a decent margin from Mackenzie Cresswell and Patrick Huizenrode behind to take his first ever victory in the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC.
Well, Nikita Johnson starts 12th for this race coming up here, with our other race winners from Zandvoort, John Bennett starting 4th, and our championship leader, Timo Kuharczyk, starting in 6th place, not where he'll want to start. And obviously with everything coming together now, we have 9 races left in this season. Piers Pryor has run upstairs to our commentary booth to be joined by our commentator Lewis McGlade, and they're going to talk you through some of the permutations and how this championship battle is sizing up ahead of the first race here at Silverstone.
Yep, thanks, Jonas. Up here with our commentator, Lewis McGlade. Lewis, we've got an interesting championship battle on our hands. Let's talk through the situation as it stands, coming off the back of Zandvoort, our European road trip, back in the UK for the final 3 rounds of the season. Timo Kuharczyk leads the championship.
Yeah, he's got 285 points. Obviously, it's a little bit back then to Louis Sharp on 265. Will McIntyre's a couple of points back from that. And then there's John Bennett. Obviously, the top 4 are separated by not too much. Little bit of an outside chance back to Mackenzie Cresswell. I think he's a bit out of it, to be honest. John Bennett's the last hope. I think top 4 battling for the last 3 rounds of the championship should be fun. Yeah,
it should be really good fun, and I've really enjoyed the stories that we've had through this season so far. We've had sort of favour swing one way and then the other. It was Timo Kuharczyk's to basically had a good lead, and then somehow and Sharp pulled it back in Hungaroring when that drama kicked off and all that stuff. So yeah, what do you reckon the rest of the season has in store?
I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, Timo Kuharczyk's got a really good qualifying record, which has been broken a little bit this weekend. Of the last 8 rounds, that were 8 qualifying sessions, realistically, he started on the front row in all 8 of them. So he's really, really strong in qualifying. That's what's put him in a good position to go after some really, really solid results. maybe a little bit slower this weekend, but it is obviously a circuit he goes well at, so I don't know. It's a tough one. I think Louis Sharp and Will Mack really have to pounce this weekend. They have to take advantage of Team Kuharczyk.
It's interesting that we've mentioned it a few times that high-tech Pole say when they go abroad, they go to the European rounds, they always seem to be so strong back in the UK and qualifying this weekend. Not so much high-tech dominance. In fact, Mackenzie Cresswell, double pole position, as John just alluded to, he finished last season really strongly. He's very much an outside shot of the championship, but if he finishes like he did last season, he could be nipping at the heels by the end of the year.
Well, it's only his second pole position in GB3, which I thought was a bit of a weird stat. I didn't realise he hadn't had I know he's had a few front row starts, obviously had a few victories, he's looked very strong, but only a second pole position. Obviously, you say about last season, I think the last round he didn't do so well, but before that he had 6 podiums in 7 races, right, which is a ridiculous record in GB3. We don't typically see that many. Looked really, really strong, was always up there. Not necessarily taking the victories consistently, but just was in contention for race victories all the time, was in contention for podiums all the time. Like I say, if he can keep that kind of record up for the end of the season, I think the victory of the championship is out of reach.
Yeah.
But a top 3 in the championship, picking up misfortunes of others, that's 100% up for grabs, and he might need it if he's looking forward to where he's going to go next year.
It's interesting also, I think, that we've got a combination of both sort of second and third year drivers, and the new drivers, of course, McIntyre and Sharp are right in there, and they're both first year drivers coming up from F4 last year, and then you've got Bennett and Cresswell, who are returning drivers, and Kuharczyk as well. So Sharp and McIntyre have done really well to come in this championship in such a competitive year, probably one of the strongest and closest years we've had, and be mixing it for genuine opportunities for a championship win.
Yeah, I know. Look, Will Mack and Louis Sharp, I think, have both been very impressive. Obviously, we were impressed with Louis Sharp right at that first round of the season, Norton Park, in some really difficult conditions. Showed how good he was just to be able to battle his way through it, taking a victory in the first race. Will McIntyre, though, he took the reverse grid race. He won around here. He's picked up a lot of victories in that time. Kind of has dropped off a little bit the last couple of rounds, but still is really, really strong and really, really up there. The retirement in the second race at Zandvoort won't help, of course. But for a first season, the two of them have done absolutely incredibly. Team Kuharczyk in his second year obviously is doing brilliantly. John Bennett and, like you say, Mackenzie Cresswell, it is their third year. We should be expecting this, that they're towards the front. But no, honestly, I'm so impressed with the rookies this year.
Yeah, very impressed. And it's also been interesting that pretty much all of the top runners have had DNFs at different points. Of course, we had the second race at Zandvoort where both McIntyre and Sharp did DNF for different reasons. And then we've had earlier in the year when there's been drama, still a lot of racing to come, still 9 races left of the season. Lewis, pick me a winner.
I can't look past Kuharczyk at the moment. He's the form man, he's got the pace. I think Kuharczyk's going to do it.
Well, that's what Lewis thinks. I'm gonna sit on the fence and we'll see how it unfolds. But we've spoken about the championship situation. We're here at Silverstone this weekend. Double pole for Mackenzie Cresswell so far. Let's have a look at the track, Silverstone Grand Prix, in a bit more detail, and Lewis will run you through that. Let's have
So the Silverstone circuit then, and the home of British motorsport, one of the most well-known circuits in the entire planet. Of course, that run through Copse, which is turn 1 for us this weekend, into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, which of course was built back in 1991. The run down into Stowe Vale, and of course the Club Chicane, which takes us out past the wing, and of course the Brooklands Luffield section, which has been so fantastic since it was reprofiled back in 2010. It is a tricky circuit though over the 18 turns. Plenty of overtaking opportunities around this circuit. Of course, it's just 3.6 miles, 5.2 kilometres all the way around. Not too much when it comes to elevation, of course, all the way around the circuit. It is one that is the home of British motorsport.
Well, look, we're down in the assembly area now. I mean, obviously, we saw Silverstone there, and it's a track that you know very well, and hopefully, if you're watching now, you've just got a better idea of it. We have one driver on the grid, Jacob Douglas, right behind us here, New Zealander. We're going to hear from him in just a second. He's basically racing for the first time in Europe, first time in the GB3 car, first race at Silverstone, the Grand Prix track, the Formula 1 track, the home of motorsports in the UK. How easy is it for someone to fly across the world? He's got experience in other continents and jump in this car and actually achieve something this weekend. It's a tough order, I would say.
Yeah, a bit of a baptism of fire, of course. The GB3 Championship is so competitive. I mean, we saw in the times in qualifying, only a few tenths covered the whole 10, 15 positions, and Jake coming over, he's got to learn a lot because he's done USF 2000, which I'm sure you'll chat about shortly, but the cars are similar, but we've seen from other drivers that have joined this series, like James Wharton, who was here with us at the last time at Silverstone, back this weekend. These are drivers that are at the top of their game in other series, and they come in here in the GB3 Championship, and because it's one, so competitive, and two, a slightly different car, you can't jump in and go straight to the top of the field. So Jacob, will, I'm sure, work his way up in terms of pacer as the weekend goes on. But yeah, it's hard to jump in a new car, new championship, and do well.
How will he be feeling minutes away from getting out on that grid for his first race start in the UK and Europe in the GB3 Championship? Nerves are going to be pretty on the edge there, I imagine.
Yeah, we've chatted about this before. It depends on the driver. I don't know Jacob personally, but some drivers get really nervous before the race. Some are pretty chilled. I suppose to help with the nerves, there's a lot less pressure because he is on the back row of the grid. But hey, he'll want to, I'm sure, prove himself, learn a lot from this weekend, and make the most of it. So apprehension.
Excellent stuff. Let's hear from Jacob Douglas then, making his debut in the GB3 Championship with Chris Dittman Racing. New Zealand, where you're from, over in the States as well, and now you're here in Europe. How's it been out there testing before this weekend?
Yeah, it's been great. Learning the car, learning the track. Super enjoying, really enjoying this experience so far with CDR. Super fun, and I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Now, you've driven in USF 2000 over in the States. That was the last single-seater car you've driven. How does this car compare, and how quickly can you actually learn a single-seater car? Because they do differ.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn it as fast as I can. Yeah, pretty tricky, but I'm really enjoying it. It's a big step up from the USF car, obviously with the downforce and everything, and just overall big jump, but I'm really enjoying it, really enjoying the learning process, so yeah.
What do you think's achievable here, realistically? Obviously, every lap you do is a huge learning curve for you, I imagine, but 3 races ahead, lots of progress to be made.
Yeah, I mean, we're just looking to do the best we can. Personally, we don't have really any goals position-wise, just kind of gain as much experience as possible and kind of execute to the best we can, whether that's top 5, top 10, or wherever that may be. So that's all we're really looking to do: gain experience and just learn everything.
We've got a really good stream of drivers coming from New Zealand. We've just had 2, Mitch Evans and Nick Cassidy, battling out for the Formula E Championship. You've got Louis Sharp in this championship. You've got drivers in IndyCar. You've got Brendan Hartley doing his thing. I mean, what is it about New Zealand that produces such great drivers?
I don't know what it is, but yeah, no, it's cool to see everyone doing so well. Obviously, Louis here, all the drivers in IndyCar in the States, and it's cool to see a good range of people in different places from New Zealand, so it's kind of always cool having someone away from home.
I also didn't mention Liam Lawson there, who obviously aspires to be in Formula One. Finally, what are your aspirations? Is there one championship that you'd love to race in eventually?
I'd like to go to IndyCar, of course. That's why I've been racing in America the past 2 years. This year's a little bit off course, I guess, but it's such a great championship, such great opportunities here, just from all the names that have come through this series. So we're just looking to learn what we can and take that into whatever I'm doing next year.
Awesome, great to chat to you. Best of luck this weekend, and hopefully we'll chat again when you make a podium.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Great to hear from Jacob there, making his debut here. It's going to be exciting to see how he gets on. I would imagine that, if he does well in the first race, he's going to want to do even better, as drivers do, Piers. I know exactly what you're like. You always want more. You always want to come first. Yep. Let's take a look at what it will look like as a GB3 driver going around the track here at Silverstone. We're going to ride on board with high-tech Pulsate driver and championship leader Timet Kuharczyk.
Let's ride on board a fast lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit with our championship leader from Poland, Timet Kuharczyk, who drives the high-tech Pulsate GP team. Turn 1, a slight lift as we go through here. Watch out for track limits on the exit. Now a short break of straight before we get to the world-famous Maggots and Beckett's corners. Completely flat out through Maggots, car moving around a lot, then a small break through Beckett's using all the curb. Again, lots of rotation through there, and then Chapel. Important to get on the power early for a good run down the hanger straight. The hanger straight, completely flat out, we'll just ease our way to the left-hand side. This will be one of the main overtaking opportunities into Stowe in the races with the long straight and the slipstreaming action. All the way to the left, just a rub on the brakes, down 1 gear, tipping it in through Stowe. Car wants to rotate. Again, watch out for track limits on the exit. Now down to one of the biggest braking zones for Vale. Braking on the right-hand side, down to 2nd gear. All the curb on the left. Keep left to open up the right of Club. Try and get as close to flat out through Club as you can, and then an easy run flat as we go on to the Hamilton straight past the wing. Again, another straight, potentially an overtaking opportunity into Abbey here. Completely flat out in both qualifying and race conditions. It's all about reducing how much we steer through here to keep the minimum speed up, and then braking into the village, braking and turning at the same time, an awkward entry. Then we're setting ourselves up back to the right-hand side for the loop. A tricky, clumsy corner that's really important for lap time, slightly missing the apex on this lap, but good traction shouldn't hurt our lap time too much. Now onto the Wellington straight, another long straight, slipstreaming in the race. You can overtake on the left and the right-hand side in the race into Brooklands, using all of the curb on the right-hand side. Braking softly as you can, the car wants to oversteer on the entry and then understeer on the exit. Now the final corner of Luffield. Get the first apex, wash wide, and then back to power early. Don't need to necessarily make the second apex. Watching out for track limits once again on the exit for a lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in the GB3 car.
Thank you very much, Piers. Have you had any magic moments around here at Silverstone? Any glory you want to talk to me about?
Unfortunately, no, that's not true. That's not true. Not in the GB3 Championship. It's my first car racing win here.
Excellent stuff. You know, reverse grid race winner in GB3 at Alton Park, and he did well here as well. There's a bit of commotion going on at the back, Piers, and you just ran over to have a quick chat. Can you just explain vaguely what's going on?
Yeah, it looks like they have actually moved some of the cars. So, of course, in qualifying, if you go beyond the track limits, which you just heard about in the onboard lap, that your lap time gets deleted. Some lap times for some of the drivers in the back end of the top 10, just outside the top 10, Rojan, I think it was deleted. But it seems like since then they've gone to the stewards and said, look, we didn't go over track limits, and then maybe they were reinstated, and there's a bit of confusion. But so there might be a slight difference to the published grid, but we'll see when we get to the grid, because I don't know what they've actually ended up with. But that's why they've been shuffling around and chatting about it.
Yeah, there was a clipboard involved. I think there was a laptop involved as well. There was a man in high vis. You know, it's very serious when there's a laptop, a clipboard, and high visibility. I've got a question for you actually. When people have been watching maybe the F1 here, which was very, very recently, we can still see everything's painted beautifully at Silverstone. The sort of the racing line that the F1 cars are taking are slightly different to GB3. I did a track walk last night with one of the driver coaches, and he was kind of explaining of why you would do things differently. And could you sort of maybe talk? I mean, we're sort of near Luffield here, and it's it's a long sort of sweeping corner here, and maybe the GB3 cars will take that in a slightly different way to maybe what you saw on the F1 coverage.
Yeah, the GB3 cars, to start with, are quite considerably narrower and shorter, so therefore they take up less space on the road, so they can use a little bit more of the circuit because the wheels don't stick out as far.
Yeah.
But the power compared to the grip of a Formula 1 car compared to a GB3 car differs slightly. The Formula 1 cars have got ridiculous amounts of downforce. I mean, GB3 cars, they've got some serious downforce, but Formula 1's a whole nother level, so they can effectively turn in a bit later, a bit more aggressively, and potentially do slightly different lines in the slower corners as well because of the amount of weight they've got. The GB3, a lot of the lap time comes from carrying speed, and I've not got a lot of power. 230 odd horsepower. It's quite a lot in a car that weighs 600 and something kilos.
Yes.
But comparatively to a Formula 1 car, which has got near 1,000, carrying the speed, especially in the minimum corners, keeping the minimum speed up is really, really important. So therefore you might take a bit more of a geometrically perfect arc, whereas a Formula 1 car might be able to get away with going in a bit harder, turning sharper and then going straight because they've got all that power to put down. So if you're watching on board and it looks slightly different, that'll be why.
Yeah, I spoke to Adi Kolkani in the Hillspeed car, and actually Max Marzorati, who we know very well as a former driver in GB3 or F3 as it was known then, in GB4. He was saying that his advice to Adi has basically been minimum speed. Yep. Keep the minimum speed high, I guess, because you need to keep that flow.
Yeah, and it's easier said than done, of course. It's like, keep the minimum speed high, just carry loads of speed into the corner. But it's doing it in a way that you can keep the minimum speed high without compromising your entry speed and your exit speed mostly, because it's really easy to carry a lot of speed through the middle of the corner, but then because you're carrying so much speed, the tyres are on the limit of grip for longer in the corner, so you can't get to full power as early. So it's all these fine margins, how you release the brake, when you release the brake, how you introduce the steering into the corner. Do you take the curb? How much curb do you take? How do you get it? The margins are so slim.
It's quite a lot to think about, isn't there? That's probably why I'm not a racing driver. You mentioned tyres there. If you watch the F1, you see they all start on brand new tyres. Here, none of the drivers starting on brand new tyres. Why is that?
Because for GB3 race weekend, for qualifying and the 3 races, you get 2 full sets of tyres. And because qualifying is so important, and the fact that the first heat cycles when the tyres are brand new is when they're fastest, almost all of the drivers will use 2 or both of their sets in qualifying. They'll do 2 flying laps on the first set, come into the pits, change onto the second new set, do 2 more flying laps, so they can guarantee themselves the best possible qualifying position, because that means that they're going to have the best chance of a good result, and that leaves them no new tyres for the races.
And Mackenzie Creswell, who we can see behind in the yellow car there, the Elite Motorsports car with the number 16 on front, he did get that best time. He did get the most out of those tyres and get the best lap in. He's pole position for this race here. He'll also be pole position for the first race tomorrow as well. And, he's a driver that finished second here back earlier this year, and we know that he goes well round from, previous years as well, and he's a third-year driver now in the GB3
Yes.
Championship. So you think that he will want to get out there and get a good start, and he'll be very confident that he can convert that good start into a good finish.
Yep, very experienced driver in this championship, and he'll be looking to take a win from pole.
Excellent stuff. Let's hear from pole sitter Mackenzie Creswell.
Mackenzie, double pole position around Silverstone Grand Prix, that must feel pretty good.
Yeah, it feels really good. We definitely needed the confidence boost, so really happy to get the double pole. Obviously that's where we want to be starting the race, so really happy with that. Need to go and do the job again in race 1 and race 2, but I think we've got the car to do it, so looking to get a couple wins this weekend, hopefully close that the point deficit in the championship.
Elite always go around here, and all three of you are quick in testing, so clearly the car's good underneath you this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. They've given me an amazing car to go and do the job in, so I'm really happy that I've got such great people around me, and that I managed to go and do the job for them. So yes, it's really good. As you said, all 3 cars in the top 7, so it's really, really good effort, and it shows the work that's been put in. So yeah, really happy.
I think you pulled a little bit extra out for yourself in qualifying, because in testing you weren't always the fastest of your 3 teammates, but very much the quickest in qualifying. What was the difference between yesterday and today?
Yeah, I had a bit of a struggle on Thursday in particular. Didn't really quite feel comfortable in the car yet. But yeah, we managed to switch it around for Friday. Pace yesterday was pretty good. So yeah, for the morning it was just about maximising everything we had, and I feel I did the job as well as I could have done. So yeah, really happy to get that pole. Feels really good, and I'm really happy that all the effort that the guys have put in has been rewarded.
I'm looking forward to a good weekend of racing. The sun's going to be out today and tomorrow by the looks of it. Would it help you or harm you if it gets a bit hotter on Sunday?
I mean it's the same for everyone, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, I don't think. The track conditions it makes a difference to the car. These cars are very sensitive, especially with the tyre, so maybe it will give us a little bit of a different balance, but yeah, ultimately it's the same for everyone. We just need to go and do the job as best as we can and see what we get.
Mackenzie, we'll see how you get on in the races from pole position in race 1 and race 2.
Cool, thank you very much.
There we go, Mackenzie Creswell starting on pole position. Look out for him in the Elite Motorsports bright yellow car with a big number 16 on the front. Piers, you've got another driver that's done particularly well, his best qualifying.
Yeah, Sean Rashid is in 10th place in this one. It's actually starting 9th, I believe, in race 2, so solid qualifying for him. Actually, I think VRD by Arden will be a bit disappointed this weekend, because in quite a lot of the testing, especially on Thursday, they were right up there. I think one of the sessions it was Noah Ping, Nikita Johnson were 1 and 2, and Sean was in 4th or 5th, and they were right up there, and then they're sort of down towards the back of the top 10. Still solid qualifying from them, and they can get some good results and move forward. But yeah, great for Sean to see that the progression he's been making through the field is continuing.
Yeah, Nikita Johnson starting down in 12th, and we heard from Nikita Johnson's dad actually back in Zandvoort, and he was talking about their crazy plans. So they were somewhere in the States, then they flew over to Zandvoort. They did Zandvoort, very well for them, big success there. Then they flew over to Toronto, where he's racing in North America. Didn't have a great weekend in Toronto, so Nikita got rid of the facial hair. I haven't actually seen Nikita yet this weekend. The lucky facial hair, which is amazing he can grow at his age. I have no idea how he does it. That is now gone. It was not lucky, it turns out. So basically now that's gone. He's now starting 12th. He'll be disappointed with that. But, I think Nikita Johnson is incredibly highly rated over in North America, and certainly getting a lot of buzz. So it'd be interesting to see what he can do from back there. We've also got to mention the most vibrant, the most noticeable car on the grid, Patrick Hudson-Rueder.
Oh, yes.
Starting in the mid-pack there. The Hard Rock Cocktails car, as we're calling it. Have we decided whether it's green or blue yet?
I like Miami Blue.
Miami Blue, so it's like blue with a hint of green in it. So you can look out for Pat. One of our international drivers, obviously we have drivers from many different countries in the GB3 Championship from all across the world. We've talked about Jacob Douglas there, Pat's Australian as well. We've got the American drivers, we've got Colin Queen out there as well. Gerard G from China, loads of different drivers out there, and you're going to see them lining up on the grid in just a second as we go racing for the very first time here in the GB3 Championship this weekend at Silverstone.
And so the European road trip is over. We are back on British soil where the championship began. Of course, Alton Park and Silverstone, where we had a cancelled race earlier on in the year courtesy of wet weather before we took the trip to Spa, to the Hungaroring, and of course to Zandvoort, where we were a few weeks ago. We return over to Silverstone, of course, and then we'll head off to Donington Park and Brands Hatch to round out the 2024 season in the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. It's been a long run so far, but it is certainly not done yet. 9 races left to go, and Silverstone is our target. Of course, it's a double pole position for Mackenzie Cresswell in what has turned out to be an absolutely delightful day. Very counter to how we had it earlier on in the year. Let's talk you through the circuit, though. Of course, Copse, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel to open up the lap before we get down to the braking zone at Stowe, into the Club Chicane, out onto the Hamilton Straight, through Abbey, Farm Curve, Village, Loop, Aintree, and then down towards Brooklands and Luffields to round out the lap. It is a tricky lap in its entirety. It's a long one, but it is a Grand Prix venue. It's open up to quite a few overtaking opportunities around the 18 turns. 3.6 miles, just over 5 kilometres all the way around, and very little when it comes to elevation. Just 11.3 metres, which is actually pretty similar to what we had both at Snetterton and at Zandvoort a few weeks back. You can see the drivers have taken to the grid then, and they'll be able to roll their way around for the formation lap in a moment. It is a double pole position this weekend for Mackenzie Cresswell. Of course, fantastic to see him back on pole position, the circuit where he took his first pole position, and of course his first victory in the GB3 Championship, and of course that is the only on both of those. What will he be able to gather here as they head down towards turn 1? In a second I'll walk you through the starting grid. You'll see where all the big championship favourites have ended up, including the big drama of the championship, which is Will McIntyre, who'll be starting right the way towards the back of the order. A lot to talk about through this one. They head their way into Maggots, Beckers and Chapel, and here's the starting grid. Mackenzie Cresswell then starting from double pole position this weekend. The first here, of course, Louis Sharp will be starting alongside us. He's back on the front row since the first time since Alton Park. Gerard She's up there in third position, showing some excellent qualifying pace as he showed back at the Hungaroring. John Bennett in fourth position. We head down to the third row of the grid, and it's Jared Alberski, excellent qualifying from him in the Elite Motorsports team. Team Kuharczyk, championship leader, will roll from 6th position of the high-tech Pulsate team. Long time to wait before we get to his teammate. Ugo Chukwu will return to the championship with a 7th position, with Hugo Schwarzer starting alongside him in 8th position. Excellent qualifying from him also. Noah Ping inside the top 10, and Sean Rashid having his best qualifying in GB3. 10th position today, 8th position tomorrow. Absolutely incredible for the American. Arthur Rojon will start in 11th position, and Patrick Hudson-Roeder will start from 12th. Of course, that'll be the reverse grid for tomorrow's final race. Nikita Johnson will start from 13th, and of course, race winner last time out in the previous race of the championship, Sebastian Murray, will start alongside him in 14th. He had a double retirement back in Zandvoort, unfortunately for him. Further behind that will be Colin Queen in 15th spot, who made up so many places. It's all 4 tech back here on row 8. Ed Pearson will start from 16th position. The question mark to see how many positions they can make up in this one. James Wharton will start from 17th, and Will McIntyre having an absolute disaster in qualifying, 18th in this race today. Then it'll be Josh Erfman starting further down the order. He's had a few good qualifyings, but unfortunately this one not working out for him. Adichie Kulkarni will start from 20th position. Still 2 more rows left to go here at Silverstone. We've got Jacob Douglas on debut in the championship. Flynn Jack starting from 22nd position. And the final position on the grid, it'll be Marcus Lucio, of course, jumping up from GB4 into GB3. Lewis McGlade and Piers Pryor in the commentary booth. This should be a fun one. It's lovely out there.
It is. It's very nice. Not as warm as we would expect at the end of July, but still very pleasant. Actually, almost perfect temperature to go racing, Lewis. The drivers will be glad that it's not over in the high 20s. 20 degrees you can see there, and just a little bit of breeze, but nowhere near as much as we had at the start of this year when we came to Silverstone first time out. That was absolutely freezing, like 5 or 6 degrees, blowing a hoolie, and it was freezing cold. So the tyres will be working a bit differently this time out. Setups will be slightly different. Tyre pressures will be set slightly differently as well, but same circuit, same cars, same great racing.
Now, the big talking point, of course, is that Will McIntyre, the driver third in the championship, is starting all the way down the order in 18th position. What's the game plan for him?
Game plan will be damage limitation. We've seen that McIntyre can make overtakes. He can come through the field. He likes to scrap, but to salvage some strong point scores, he's going to have to make up at least 7 or 8 places. We've seen it done in the GB3 Championship before. Notable examples, Joel Granfors, Luke Browning over the years. Luke Browning, of course, did it in the high-tech Pulsate car, so maybe they will have been looking back at the onboards from a couple of years ago. But the last cars are making their way onto the grid. Good big grid in the GB3 Championship this weekend. here we go for the first race of the weekend.
Yeah, 23 cars back in action, of course. Mackenzie Cresswell starting for pole position, looking for a second victory in his GB3 career, but a first of the season. It's been a while since we've seen him take to the top step. Would certainly like to see him return to it. All 23 cars will roll into their grid slots, and it's a short run down towards the first corner at Copse. But then, of course, we head into Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, where they'll be absolutely pinned. Mackenzie Cresswell leaving a lot of room in his box. They'll get ready. The lights will come on, and we'll be ready to go racing here at Silverstone. As it is a long hold on the grid, the lights are on, and we are underway. It's a great start from Hugo Schwarzer, I believe, for about 8th position as they race their way down to the first corner. Out pole sitter, let's see where he's dropped. He's dropped a single position, so Louis Sharp straight up to the head of the field. I think it's John Bennett who's moved up to the 3rd position. A couple of drivers running out wide going through Copse in the first corner, but it is going to be a race here for Louis Sharp. He's gone side by side with Mackenzie Cresswell, who's sending it around the outside going to Maggots, Beckers and Chapel. Mackenzie Cresswell in the bright yellow car trying to hang firm around the outside. He's going to get squeezed off slightly by Louis Sharp there. They remain side by side heading out to the hangar straight. Patrick Huitzenroder is going to run through the tarmac as well.
Wow, what a start that was from... hang on, because they've gone side by side. Look at John Bennett coming 3 wide up towards Stowe.
Yeah, John Bennett's going to send it through. He's going to try and take over the race lead. Very close there. He's going to pinch Louis Sharp. And that's an excellent move from John Bennett, who's head to the lead of the race. Incredible stuff from the number 11 JHR Developments driver. It's John Bennett leading from Louis Sharp. Bit of a lock-up there from Mackenzie Cresswell as well.
And look at Jared Waberski in 4th place, made up a couple of positions. A brilliant first lap in terms of entertainment and overtaking. Sharp got away off the line. Mackenzie Cresswell dropped behind, then got alongside. But there's fighting further down the field.
Yeah, that was Will McIntyre in the 21 trying to get around the outside of Sebastian Murray. Let's see Louis Sharp trying to work his way into the mix. Rodent looking strong here, going on the attack. Of course, Louis Sharp currently sits 2nd in the championship, trying to get past the driver who sits 4th in the championship, but John Bennett's going to hang on. There is a move coming to the inside, as that is, I think that's Teammate Kuharczyk trying to make a move on Jared Waberski.
It is Kuharczyk going at the inside of Waberski into the loop. It's a regulation move, but Waberski's looking to get back up the inside. We've got some frantic racing. I'm loving this, Lewis. Bennett now pulls to the left-hand side of short, right-hand side of circuit, as now Mackenzie Cresswell and Sharp are fighting. Lock up from, was that Mackenzie Cresswell? And Kuharczyk has fended off Waberski.
Yeah, Cresswell leaving it to the inside at Luffield, but the advantage might work out in favour of Louis Sharp on the exit of that of the corner at Luffield. So we've got the 4 of the drivers in the top 5 of the championship running 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th as they cross the line. Of course, it will be John Bennett leading. It's Louis Sharp taking the defensive line from Mackenzie Cresswell. Teammate Kuharczyk in tow. There is Cresswell going around the outside. They both went straight off the road there. I think Race Control might have a look.
Yeah, fair game, I think, if they both went off there, but Sharp trying to squeeze Mackenzie Cresswell on the exit. They go side by side once again through Maggots and Beckett's. Whoa, a bit of a wiggle from Mackenzie Cresswell. Has to relinquish the position, but it was interesting on the first lap, the same 2 drivers went side by side through there. That time, Mackenzie Cresswell went off the circuit, used the extra tarmac runoff, but that's actually going to give Teammate Kuharczyk an opportunity to take 3rd.
Now, obviously, John Bennett there was weaving a little bit. That's not against the rules because he's just trying to break the slipstream, or is that going to classify as 2 moves before they've got down defensively?
I think it'll be okay. Oh, someone's off. Who's that? That's a high-tech car. Teammate Kuharczyk.
Teammate Kuharczyk, championship leader, is off in the gravel trap and he is beached. This is huge drama for the championship. It's going to blow this one wide open. Kuharczyk is out of the race and that is almost certainly going to require a safety car. Wow. We head our way through what was out onto the Hamilton Straight, of course, as there was a move coming in. Hugo Schwarzer defending for the likes of Ugo Chukwu and from Arthur Rojon as the 2 roaders going to battle it out down into Abbey. But what is happening in this championship? It keeps ebbing and flowing, chopping and changing.
No one wants to lead, Lewis. Every time we say someone's got a decent lead, something happens. It was Kuharczyk, and then he got the double pole in Hungary, and then of course the issues that High-Tech had in Hungary, which meant that then Sharp took the championship, and there is our championship leader, Teammate Kuharczyk, as the safety car is called. Good to see he's okay. No damage to the barrier, so shouldn't be any lasting damage on that car, but damage mostly done to his championship points.
Yeah, that is huge. Of course, he will start from tomorrow's race from a decent position again. So if you are new to the GB3 Championship, as much as we have 3 races over a weekend, they are the starting position is all pulled from qualifying. So if you make up a lot of positions in the race or you lose a lot of positions in the race, it doesn't affect your next race unless you get a grid penalty. But that is a huge drama, unfortunately, there for Kuharczyk. Yeah. And like you say, he's going to lose a lot of ground. At this point, he's going to lose the championship lead. I'll run the numbers.
It was interesting. We didn't see in the front of shot what happened to Timek there. He was looking to make a move on Mackenzie Cresswell for 3rd place, wasn't he? He was right in the slipstream. Interesting to find out whether he went for the inside or the outside. But one thing I did note, Lewis, when I voiced the onboard lap with Teammate Kuharczyk, that high-tech Pulse 8 car is very, very twitchy. The high speed, I watched him go through Maggots and Beckett's and Stowe corner, all the high speed corners. That car, the rear was rotating a lot, which lends itself to good lap time, but doesn't make it the easiest to drive. So I haven't seen anything yet, but potentially Kuharczyk went for the inside on Cresswell. Maybe Cresswell pinched him down and Kuharczyk just carried a bit too much speed into the corner. Let's have a look at how that affects the championship.
I'm just going to say, if this race finishes as it is, and I'll roll you through the order of the race because I know you've not got TV graphics at the moment. I'll roll you through that in just a second. Lewis Sharp would lead by 4 points. John Bennett would be in second position, 5 points ahead of Teammate Kuharczyk. All of those would be separated by 9 points, which is terrifying. Will McIntyre would be 24 points off the championship lead, so they'd all be very comfortably within a race victory.
Yeah, and Cresswell would also be somewhere up there.
He would be further up there. I've not done the numbers on him. I just did top four. So don't panic on that one. Let me roll you through the order though, so at least we all know where things are standing. There's 14.5 minutes left to go in the race. We'll probably go to time rather than laps. We'll update you on that one in just a moment. John Bennett is leading the race from Sharp in second. Waberski is in third position. Gerard Shee is in fourth. Then Ping. Then Schwarzer. Then Ugachukwu in seventh position. Arthur Rojon in eighth. Then Nikita Johnson. Mackenzie Cresswell has dropped down to 10th position after that incident, of course, with Teammate Kuharczyk. Then it is Colin Queen in 11th position. Sean Rashid in 12th. James Wharton in 13th position. Will McIntyre has worked his way up to 14th position as the Zoom booms out on circuit. Sebastian Murray in 15th position. Ed Pearson in 16th. Josh Irfan in 17th. Aditya Kulkarni in 18th position. Douglas in 19th. Jax in 20th. Marcus Lucio in 21st. Patrick Huysenroder, who's also had his fair share of drama, down in 22nd position. And of course, out of the race with Teammate Kuharczyk.
It's that is the race order as it stands. It's not going to be the same as that at the end of the race, judging by the first 2.5 or 1.5 laps of racing we had so far. We've had how many changes for the lead? 3, 4? We had Mackenzie Cresswell off the line, then Sharp took the lead, then Mackenzie Cresswell got it back, but then went off the circuit. Then Bennett got alongside and got into the lead. Bennett currently leads.
And that was all in 3 corners.
And that was all in 4 corners, yeah. So that's the start of the race we had. That doesn't even include further down the field. We have Waberski, who's up 2 positions from 5th to 3rd. She's up 2 positions as well. Ping's inside the top 5, and we know Ping, if there's a sniff of a gap, Ping's going to put his car in it. So Schwartz has had a good race up 3. Hang on. My live timing, I said Mackenzie Cresswell is down to 7th, so Mackenzie Cresswell has lost positions in that, so maybe there was contact.
Yours may say 7th, mine directly, using the same link by the way, mine says 10th, so that's always a good sign.
But yeah, there must have been contact or evasive action from Cresswell.
Yeah, like this was. I did say when I went through the grid, there must have been through the order there must have been some incident between, of course, Cresswell and that driver right there, Teammate Kuharczyk. Obviously, we haven't seen a replay of it. And I don't know if we will be able to, just because of the angle that we had that one from. So I don't believe we're able to catch that one. But I'm sure the drivers will let you know exactly what they feel on social media after the race, which is always a dangerous prospect.
We'll see if we can catch up with them. Either myself or Naomi can go and have a word with either Timek or Mackenzie and see if they're willing to chat about that. Of course, it'd be disappointing, but it's amazing how mature these young drivers are these days. I think we chatted to both Louis and John Bennett in Zandvoort. So let's have a quick look at the race start once again.
Yeah, indeed. So you can see on the right-hand side, this is a Waberski in the yellow car, about quite a bit about that excellent start there. Might have been a jump, I don't know.
No, that was Schwarzer that we were looking at.
Oh, was it Schwarzer?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Waberski's on the outside. Here we go. So this is the start. So Sharp has got into the lead. Mackenzie in the yellow car is in second. Sharp in the Rodin black and white car. Then Mackenzie looks to the left-hand side going into Maggots and Beckett's. Gets all the way alongside, goes around the outside of Maggots, inside of Beckett's, but then puts him on the outside for Chapel. And then Sharp just gives him a squeeze. I think that's fair racing there. And there's obviously a lot of racing going on, but we're concentrating on the lead. Huysenroder goes off too. That's where he loses those positions. Then we look on the way up to Stowe. This is when Bennett goes through the middle and thinks all his Christmases have come at once. A brilliant move, actually, because it wasn't easy. Bennett had to actually squeeze Sharp on the inside, and then that's when Cresswell got right on the back of Sharp once again. Side by side once again going into Vale. Little lock-up from Mackenzie Cresswell.
So good.
Such good racing. I'm absolutely loving the GB3 Championship this year. I mean, I've loved it every year, but especially this second half of this season. The racing has been so tight. And then we've got side by side between Seb Murray, Gerard Shee, lots going on.
Yeah, obviously Will Mack was the one making up a little bit of progress back there. Safety car is, of course, out. Will be returning into pit lane, not this lap, but probably on the next lap. They'll hopefully get the high-tech pulsate car out of the way. There is the low loader car. Well, it is a zoom beam. It's trying to get it out of the way. The JCB. It is actually a JCB. It's fine. We can call it that, as it's just trying to recover the vehicle, and then hopefully we'll be able to get back. You've got a note from race control.
Yes, no race control. Car 22, car 16. Incident will be investigated after the race. Guess who that is? Cresswell and Kuharczyk. So again, it's a shame that we didn't quite catch that. Cameraman up at Stowe was just catching the rest of the field fighting. We just didn't quite catch the side-by-side action, or we assume was side-by-side action between Timek and Mackenzie. Both, Mackenzie's third year, Timek second year drivers. They can both race close and fair, so I'm sure it would have just been a case of a miscommunication or a slight error. There would have been nothing malicious there. But I was, before we had a look at the race start, just saying that hopefully when we catch a word with them, they'll be able to give us what happened. And generally these drivers, they're happy to talk about it straight away, because despite their young age, they're so mature. Like when we caught up with Bennett and Sharp after the incident in Zandvoort, they were both like, yeah, racing happens. It was John's fault, but he owned up to it, and Louis was like, yeah, that's fine, sometimes it happens.
Now, obviously, the TV coverage then, we didn't see the incident. I'm sure you've been involved in your fair share of incidents in motorsport.
That's an assumption
you've got a reputation that follows you, it's fine. How do race control adjudicate that incident then?
Well, they will take the onboard cameras, because these cars have both front and rear facing onboard cameras, which are not live, so unfortunately we can't bring them to you live, but they can use it for driver coaching in the teams, but also the stewards and race director can have a look at it and decide who is largely at fault, because those cameras also have throttle trace, brake trace. You can see the steering wheel, and they will assess based on the rules and the situation who is at fault, and if anyone was at fault, then they'll apportion blame and a penalty relative to the severity of the incident. So it may well go down as a racing incident. It may well go down as Timek Kuharczyk's mistake, and it took himself out of the race. It may well have been Mackenzie Cresswell squeezed him, or they create contact. But we'll keep you updated. The best place to keep up to speed with all of the post-race goings-on is the GB-3.net website, bottom right-hand side, or the GB3 social media handles. It's just GB3 Championship.
Certainly is, which is where because I'm an old man. I still
on the Twitters.
The Twitters, indeed. Yeah, no, it's not for me. Obviously, 8 minutes left to go in the race. Hopefully, this safety car will be in this lap. Not got the note from race control that it is doing so yet, and obviously, we can't rush the marshals. They've got their job to do at the end of the day. If we do go racing at the end of this lap, there we go. There's the note from race control. So the safety car will be coming in. We will have 4 laps of racing. I'll remind you very quickly of the order. It is Bennett leading, from Sharp, from Oberski, from Shi, from Ping, the top 5. Then Schwarzer in 6th position. Ukachukwu, Rojon, Johnson and Cresswell the top 10, with Queen, Rashid, then Wharton, then McIntyre up to 14th position, Murray in 15th, Pearson, Irfan, Kulkarni, Douglas and Jacks the top 20, with Lucio and Hoytsenroda running in 21st and 22nd position, and a retirement from the race from Timek Kuharczyk, the championship leader. Who's your pick on winning this one?
I reckon John Bennett's got this one. He's got in the lead. He's been looking very consistent this season. Of course, another third-year driver. He, of course, had a very strong time here in Silverstone earlier on in the year when the conditions were very different, but he's, if he can get away well, which I'm sure he'll do an effective safety car restart, then it could be a John Bennett win. But don't count out Louis Sharp behind, or Jared Boberski, or Gerard Shi, or Noah Ping, or Schwartz.
Or anyone else.
It could be anyone else, but I'm going to go with John Bennett.
Yep.
Let's see how this safety car restart goes. He's going to go any time now, I reckon. He has absolutely put the hammer down. It looks like quite a good launch away from the safety car restart for John Bennett. He's given himself a couple of car lengths over Louis Sharp. Jared Boberski's right there. We've already got a fight for 4th and 5th place. That is between Ping and Schwarzer.
Yeah.
Ping and Shi.
Yeah, exactly. It's Shi just trying to hang on at the moment for that 4th position. Is able to do so, and of course dropping back a little bit to the clutch. So they all funnel their way through the first corner. So a bit of the concertina effect as they head their way through Magnus, Beckers and Chapel. Is going to be John Bennett leading from Sharp. Waberski's doing an excellent job in this race. I haven't really spoken enough about that. As there's Mackenzie Cresswell embroiled in the fight with Nikita Johnson. Colin Queen straight around the outside. That's so brave from Colin Queen, and he was able to do so. He definitely breached track limits to do that, though. That was a fantastic move.
Yeah, brilliant move. Mackenzie Cresswell's made his way past Nikita Johnson, which is what I think has meant Nikita Johnson's lost a bit of momentum and why he's falling down the field, as we now see Is it Ed Pearson going up the inside? It was Pearson going up the inside of Johnson, but couldn't quite get that move done. Hoytson-Roeder fighting his way through on the back of Marcus Luzio, and this is that battle that continues with Nikita Johnson and Sean Rashid going up the inside of Pearson. Couldn't get that move done, and now we're side by side again. Who's that, Lewis?
Will McIntyre. Look at Will McIntyre coming through here in the 21. Of course, he's the one that's in the middle of it. He's the one that's embroiled in this championship fight. The 42, by the way, was James Wharton, who's just worked his way through. There's Will McIntyre to the inside of Nikita Johnson going through Abbey. They head their way up the hill now towards the village and loop section. Will McIntyre, the driver who currently sits third in the championship, is desperately trying to get any progress. One was off in the background. I think that might have been Nikita Johnson. I think he's got a car problem,
Genuinely, it could just be once the momentum starts falling backwards, it's so hard to pick yourself back up, and you lose a position in a corner, then you're slow on the next straight, and then you lose another position, then you get forced wide. It's so easy to happen, although him falling off the back of the field, potentially there is an issue. I'm not sure what that could be, as we see one of the Fortec cars going inside. We're now looking at the black and white car, number 18, Arthur Rojon, who is fending off Mackenzie Cresswell, as Mackenzie Cresswell is trying to come back through the field side by side on the exit of Luffield. They're going to go side by side all the way down this straight, and the Fortec car is that Wharton looking up the inside, trying to make it 3 wide into the turn 1.
I think it might be actually Colin Queen and all that as they head their way down into Copse in that first turn. Let's see them all go their way through as we'll see them navigate that first corner. There's Douglas, fastest lap comes in from Bennett as we head in through the first corner. There is Nikita Johnson. So no, I think I was making a mistake. I think it might have been Noah Pink that was having a bit of a problem. Sean Rashid, rather, who's into the pit lane, had that front wing repair. That's a big shame for Rashid.
When did that happen? I didn't quite catch that. Because he was having a good race up there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was broad in that fight. We did see one of the Arden, it was one of the VRD Racing by Arden, dropping down the orders. And there we go. Now we have our answer to who it was. Here's Nikita Johnson then in the 17, right-hand side going past Arthur Rojon. So that is the battle to move up into what I believe will be 9th position, might be 10th.
I was about to say lovely move around the outside by James Wharton, but he did leave the circuit to get that move completed. So potentially Stewart to be having a look at that one to see if he gained an advantage due to leaving the circuit. But Wharton putting in a good show in only his second weekend in the GB3 Championship. He joined us for the first time we were here at Silverstone with the Fortec Motorsport team earlier on this year. But Colin Queen once again moving up the order inside the top 10 from again what was not his strongest qualifying position.
Certainly so. Well, at the front of the field, it is still going to be John Bennett leading from Louis Sharp there in the number 7 car. Then Wilburski is in 3rd position. Gerard Shee is in 4th. And Noah Pink currently running in the 5th position. This is excellent stuff from John Bennett. There'll be 2 laps left to go, as unfortunately they've decided to retire Sean Rashid's car from the race, maybe protecting it to getting it ready for the race tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's a real shame to see Sean Rashid out after what has been his strongest qualifying this year so far, with a 10th and a 9th place, 10th in this one and 9th in race 2, which we'll see tomorrow morning. So good race. Tomorrow morning, yeah. This tomorrow, yeah.
It is tomorrow morning, yes.
Confused. I think I got thrown off by the fact that we had 2 races in the morning, didn't we, on one of the away rounds. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. Right at the front of the field is now closest between Wilburski and Shee. We know the high-tech Pulsate car, very quick around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. We've seen it in years gone by. But so is the bright yellow Elite Motorsports car as well. But Gerard Shee, actually, he was probably the slower of the 3 drivers in some of the high-tech in some of the practice sessions, but pulled it out in qualifying, had a decent top 10 qualifying, and has managed to make his way through the field. John Bennett is doing exactly the job he needs to do in the number 11 JHR car at the front of the field. Race has settled down a little bit after what was a very, very chaotic first 15 minutes.
Certainly so, and yet still the racing continues. Sebastian Murray down the inside of Ed Pearson. That's 14th position. The 2 of them will switch over. Josh Erfan sat off the rear end of that, but it is a move coming in from Sebastian Murray. Patrick Hoysenberger in that very distinctive Miami blue colour. That's just trying to go on the attack. This is Will McIntyre, who's running in 13th position as he started from 18th, so he's gone +5 in this race. But of course, you don't get points in this race for gaining positions. That's for the 3rd race of the weekend. We'll just say one thing, by the way, for Wilburski, who's currently running in 3rd, as we'll see this battle coming down into T1. Erfan around the outside. That's a brilliant move, Abbey. This will be Wilburski's first natural race podium, because he's obviously had 3 podiums in reverse grid races.
But he's often been inside the top 10, so it's been a long time coming. Wilburski's had a very strong second season in the GB3 Championship, moving to the Elite Motorsport team, and very distinctive bright yellow cars. We see Pearson fending off the number 9. That's the new driver of this championship, isn't it? That is Jacob, the New Zealander.
Jacob Douglas certainly is, as obviously he moved his way into it, trying to get used to the GB3 Championship, getting up with the ropes, as we'll see them come down on the start-finish straight. This is to start the final lap of the race, then it is continuing to be John Bennett leading by a comfortable margin over Louis Sharp, then Jared Waberski, there he is, third position. Oh, you can imagine what Garth Waberski, his dad's going to be like.
Yeah, but to be fair, he's actually earned it this weekend. Jared Waberski is actually in quite a lot of the testing sessions on Thursday and Friday, was the pace-setting elite motorsports car. He had a second and a third, I think, fastest times in a couple of the practice sessions. So been doing very well, pushing on, and that pace is all good having the pace, Lewis, but you've got to also execute it in the race. And he's driven a very good race to get himself on the podium, aided partially by the two fighting it out of Mackenzie Cresswell and Timek Kuharczyk went off. But hey, you've got to be in it to win it, Lewis.
Exactly, you've got to be there to take advantage. It's been such a superb drive. Of course, he is the driver who finished second in our first ever season of GB4. So
yes,
just showing again how much has been moving forward, moving over to elite from Fortec.
Yeah, and it's good to see the race pace of Fortec continuing as well. They Colin Queen up to 9th place now, you know, it seems like those Fortec cars, once the race get going, they are absolutely rapid. They just haven't been able to get a handle on getting the most out of their cars or their drivers, or the combination of it in qualifying, which is hard to do, because getting your best lap, putting it all together when the tyres are at their best with only one or two opportunities is difficult, but that's, you know, what you learn as a young driver and how to do it well, and the drivers at the front of the field are very well versed at that.
Now, of course, John Bennett about to come down to the final couple of corners to take a victory. He has won twice around here. They were both taken away from him, but he has won twice this season. So, in all counts, is a third victory. From a third victory at Silverstone, sort of, but it is going to be a third victory of the season. John Bennett will push himself back into championship contention with a fantastic victory here at Silverstone. Across the line, it's John Bennett on top from Louis Sharp, who will retake over the championship lead. Jared Waberski will take a very well-deserved third place, Gerard Shee and Noah Ping inside the top 5. But what a drive it's been from John Bennett, and what a brave move it was to fire it straight through the middle. Yeah, that was a great drive from John Bennett. You know, really experience showing there, because he saw the front two going side by side through this section of corners, Maggots and Beckett's on the first lap, and thought he just hung back a little bit and got a good exit, which put him in a position to go down the middle. And it wasn't done just with the run down the hanger straight. He had to fend off Louis Sharp on the inside. Did so very well. Then the safety car. And yeah, great. Although Louis Sharp will not be disappointed. Another podium, second place, especially when the rest of his championship or direct championship rivals are out of the race. Timek Kuharczyk, or out of the big points anyway. Timek Kuharczyk, DNF, and Will McIntyre, who did well in the end to get up to 13th place, but not such a big points also. Sharp now back in the lead of the championship, but only closely followed by the driver that won the race. Lewis, this is shaping up brilliantly. Every time I think, oh, this driver's starting to dominate and they're going to run away with it, something happens this season. We've got 8 races left to go. We've done 2/3 of the championship now. The fact that we've got, again, I will give you the championship standings. Louis Sharp provisional, and I'll give you the championship standings of the full top 10 once we're done with the podium, that kind of stuff. But still, I want to just touch on the top 4 in the championship and our championship protagonists at the moment. Louis Sharp on 294, John Bennett on 290, so just 4 points behind. Timek Kuharczyk on 285, 9 points off the championship lead, and Will McIntyre 24 points off the championship lead. Although I will think that Will McIntyre is probably going to lose a bit more ground tomorrow morning because he's starting from 23rd. Yes. But the top 3 separated by 10 points. This is incredible. It's as good as last year in that Voisin Loke Dunn battle that we had. It is absolutely every bit as good, and it's great to see that we've got 3 drivers from 3 teams. Yeah. Louis Sharp, Road and Motorsport, John Bennett, JHR Development, then we've got Timek Kuharczyk, High Tech Pulsate. Same 3 teams as last year as well, isn't it? Of course it is. Clearly they are 3 of the top teams in this championship, and then you've got the Elite Motorsport of Mackenzie Cresswell right there. I think he was in about a similar position last year. Lewis, GB3 Championship does it once again. It makes our job commentating on it much easier. Indeed. We've done this now for 3 years, of course, and the opening season that we did in 22 when it was Joel Granfors versus Luke Browning, fantastic championship battle. It built up to something which I didn't think we were going to see again, with the level of drama that we had in the championship last year, where Callum Voisin took the title, of course, from Alex Dunn and Joseph Loke. And yet here we are. Here we are. It's just, it's still getting better. You literally cannot call it. Indeed. We'll take a look, though, at provisional results from the race and see exactly what's happened. Of course, I'll read you through it anyway, don't worry. Of course, it is John Bennett taking the victory from Louis Sharp in second position. Third position will be Waberski. Fourth position will be Gerard Shee. Fifth position will be Noah Ping, with Hugo Schwarzer in sixth place. Mackenzie Cresswell in seventh. Then Ugo Chukwu in eighth position. Colin Queen in ninth. And Nikita Johnson inside the top 10. And what has been a beautiful afternoon here at Silverstone. Absolutely incredible scenes. Those behind will be James Wharton in 11th position, Arthur Rojon in 12th, Will McIntyre in 13th position, Sebastian Murray, Irfan, Huysen-Roder, Douglas, then Jax, Kulkarni, Lucio, the top 20, with Ed Pearson in 21st position, Sean Rashid in 22nd, and Timmy Kuharczyk out of the race, relinquishing a whole host of points. James Headley straight over there to have a little chat with his good mate. Of course, the two of them shared a podium a couple of weeks back at Circuit Zandvoort. And of course, it's a very well-deserved victory for John Bennett to have grabbed yet another one, a third of the season. And again, to move just 4 points off the champion lead, which is now held by Louis Sharp. There is Jared Waberski out of the car, his fourth podium in GB3. But what an excellent one it is for him to have done it in such a way, to have pieced it together so brilliantly, to move up through the order like that, but also to have it in I said a normal race or a natural race, in a non-reverse grid race. So a main race, if you want to classify it that way. Race 1 and race 2 of the weekend, where they're pulled from qualifying positions. As we'll head down to Johners to catch up with the top 3 from the race.
Tyres for the choice of the weekend, so yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah, plenty going on in that first lap through Maggotts and Beckett's and down onto the hangar straight, so you kind of had to position your car to try and pick up the toe ahead, but then not lose to people behind you as well.
Yeah, obviously we do, these cars have a lot of downforce, so we do pick up quite a lot of dirty air, so you have to think ahead, and yeah, I think I could do that in a few places, so congrats.
Yeah, the weekend started well.
John, I'm sorry, the microphone didn't work. John Bennett, you've run third race win of the year, and it must feel great to finish first here again at Silverstone.
Yeah, great win. Full thanks to the team. Carl's awesome. But yeah, fourth to first, I think probably my favourite win of the season so far. Yeah, mega first lap. Got off the line well, and then saw Mackenzie and Louis fighting through Max Beckett, so I just set it up, got the run. Then yeah, led lap 1 and never looked back really. So.
Was there any fear during the safety car that then they may be able to get a run on you, or were you pretty confident?
No, I was confident. I knew as long as I got a clean safety car restart, I'd be able to just lead and pull a gap. So yeah, mega race.
You're very much in the title picture now. This must give you a lot of confidence for the other 2 races this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. We struggled a little bit in testing. There were a couple of issues we had. But we did the job in quali. We knew we could fight from the second row. Starting P3 tomorrow, so opportunity for more good points. But yeah, obviously it's very close in the championship. So yeah, we'll just keep going.
Excellent stuff. We'll let you continue celebrating with the team, and also with your good friend James Headley, who I saw you have a nice embrace with there.
Yeah, exactly. He's gone fourth to first before, so I said I'd try my best to replicate, and I did. So it was good.
Excellent stuff. John Bennett, race winner with JHR Developments. Congratulations, John. We'll move on to Louis Sharp. Louis, congratulations, another podium for you. How was it out there?
Yeah, it was a good race. Obviously, starting P2, got the lead into turn 1, and then me and Mackenzie had a bit of a battle coming through Maggotts and Beckett's, and John was able to get a run on both of us. So unfortunate not to get the win, but at the end of the day, it's still really good points. I believe we're back in the lead of the championship now, which is good. So back where we should be. So overall, it's been a good day, but still trying to push for that win tomorrow.
It's a very brave driving there in that battle with Mackenzie. Is that what's required here at Silverstone?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be. Obviously, you got to be careful because I'm fighting for a championship, so I can't afford to have a crash or an incident or anything. But at the end of the day, you still want to do the best you can. So it's a balance of what you can give and what you can't. But no, it was a good battle. I was able to stay ahead, which was nice. Not quite sure what happened. I think there was a bit of an incident behind. Obviously, the safety car came out for quite a few laps. But no, I think, yeah, overall it's been a good day, but I think there's a bit we need to work on for tomorrow.
Excellent stuff. We'll let you go and get your trophy. Congratulations, Louis Sharp, coming second with Rodin. And let's come over for Jared Waberski. It's Jared Waberski's third podium of the year, but as Lewis said on commentary, it's Jared's first podium, not on a reverse grid race. So that means it's your best result of the year. How are you feeling?
Yeah, really good. Obviously, we've made good improvements with the car, and I can't thank the team enough. I was a little bit disappointed after qualifying because I think we kind of on the second set got put out of position with quite a bit of traffic. So pole was definitely on, but yeah, but we know the car's good, and yeah, podium in race 1 on our worst set of tyres. Yeah, we're just happy with that.
We've got a lot of people supporting you here. I met your grandparents yesterday who had to go through all of this that your dad goes through now, and everyone watching back home, back in South Africa, and it must be nice to give them a bit of success straight on, because I don't think you could do anything wrong now.
No, obviously to have all my family here, it really means a lot, and obviously everyone's still back home supporting, you know, all the messages I get. I can't thank everyone enough. So yeah, good to start off the weekend with a podium and hopefully get a few more.
Excellent stuff. We look forward to it. Jared Wilberski with Elite Motorsports. We'll let you go and get your trophy there. Lewis McGlade will talk you through the podium as these guys get their trophies.
Cheers, Joyce. Thank you. As we'll see them onto the podium again. Fantastic stuff to see. We've spoken about the top four of the championship, but I will just touch on it once more because there were 24 points between the top four of the championship. Actually 23 because Will McIntyre did pick up an extra spot. It'll be Louis Sharp leading from John Bennett from Kuharczyk and from Will McIntyre. We'll go through the standings a little bit after this, after we've done highlights as well. But again, a brilliant time to see John Bennett jump onto the top step of the podium, of course. He's had a few decent podium positions so far this year. Of course, he started out the season with a second place, ended up with a first place in the second race of the season in that incredible overtake on Louis Sharp at Alton Park. Has had a couple of podiums at Spa, had a podium at Hungary, had the double pole position and a race victory at Zandvoort as well, and then bounces back. Good to hear him talking about the fourth to first there and having a little bit of a good chat with James Headley, of course. I don't believe we'll see back in the championship. Hopefully we will, but I'm not sure we will, which is a big shame because James Headley is an incredibly talented driver. And of course he was driving the Rodin in position, of course, of Ugo Chukwu over the last couple of rounds. There is the 2022 GB4 champion, Nicholas Taylor, just trying to be the centre of attention. Thank you. As obviously everyone trying to get in position for the photographs of these podium finishes and the incredible position that they've been in and the fortuitous spot to be able to take to the steps. Doesn't mean that everyone wants to grab your photograph, and of course we'll see them head their way out, of course in reverse order that they finished on the podium. So Jared Wilberski will climb up first. He's had 2 podiums so far this season. He had a podium last season as well, but to grab one in a main race, far more important, you'd have to say. Wilberski then into third position. Louis Sharp, the championship leader, then into second position, and of course to the top step for the third time in his GB3 career, it is John Bennett. Superb performance from him in this race. Of course, he's driving for JHR Developments this year. He's driven for Elite. He's driven for Rodin, of course, last year, and again will be able to take to the top step of the podium as they'll receive their trophies in what has been a very tricky race, to be perfectly honest, in beautiful conditions. To see them race this hard, this well around here, it just shows how good Silverstone works for these cars. I mean, the racing we had when we actually did get racing earlier on in the year was absolutely brilliant. But to be able to come racing here in the beautiful sunshine after what has been a fantastic abroad couple of rounds, again, it just shows the level of quality in the field. And again, superb performance. 4 points now off the championship lead, that driver's centre of shot. Wilberski's battling toward the back end of the top 10 of the championship, but is still, to be fair, he might be up for grabs for a top 5. We'll have to wait and see the points in a second. Wilberski is going quite strong in this championship, maybe a little bit under the radar on quite a few occasions, but still running in some very strong spots. But of course, the talk really has to be about the top 4 in the championship. Kuharczyk, Sharp, McIntyre and Bennett, all separated by very, very little as we prepare our way for the remainder of the championship. We'll hand down, though, to Piers Pryor, who's in the paddock.
We're down here grabbing a word with some of the drivers. Didn't quite make it on the podium. Noah, P5, was it P5 in the end? Strong result, but I can see visibly you're a bit disappointed.
Yeah, definitely. I think if the yellow didn't come out, we had the pace in the first 2-3 laps, so it would have been good, but hey, I can't complain about P5 starting from P9, so unfortunate to the guys that got contact in front of us, but it is what it is, and we'll take the result and keep going forward. We've had pace this weekend, bits and ups and downs, especially the end of the day, so looking forward for tomorrow in the reverse grid race. We're up there in the reverse grid, so we'll see how it goes, but yeah, P5 is a good result for sure.
Good start to the weekend. I was going to ask you briefly, it seemed like you guys, Arden, or VRD by Arden, had really, really good pace, especially on Thursday.
Yeah.
Didn't quite have it in quali though.
No, unfortunately, and I think the track evolved a lot actually from session 1 to qualifying. So we hit the ground running and we had a good baseline, which is always a key to these weekends. So we made a little tweak here and there, and unfortunately, I know I got screwed with traffic. I ended up on someone's gearbox on my fastest lap, so that's never ideal in these cars. But, you know, we have the pace, we can race, and hopefully we can make some more moves throughout this race weekend and maybe get on the podium here soon.
I look forward to that. Noah, I'll let you go and get ready for tomorrow and chill out. I'm going to grab another driver if that's all right. Noah, thanks very much for chatting to us. Why don't we grab James Wharton? James, a guest driver once again. We saw you out last time out Silverstone. You're back again, mixing it in the middle of the pack. That must have been pretty good fun out there.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing because I think we had better pace this weekend, but I had a front wing broken in qualifying. So yeah, we lost quite a lot with that. In Sector 1, I lost 7 tenths, and I'm only 7 tenths from P1, so it's a bit frustrating because I think I could be fighting in the front this weekend, but I feel like I did a good race. It's quite fast as well, but I still think we have some work to do. But overall, I'm just having some fun this weekend. It's not many weekends you can say you're just having fun at a Silverstone, so it's always an opportunity to come here, and I'm quite happy with the pace I had this weekend, so hopefully we can get better in the next 2 races.
Brilliant. You're back once again with Fortec Motorsports. Of course, we saw you with Fortec a couple of times out, last time out. You may or not have seen, but the Fortec, Colin and Ed have been really, really quick in the races. Haven't quite got it sorted out in qualifying in the last few rounds. It's almost a similar sort of thing, but you come alive in the race, and all 3 of you are pushing on through.
Yeah, but as I said, I think we had the pace for in qualifying as well. I was top 6, 7 all weekend except for when I broke the front wing, so I feel like I could be starting inside top 10, which make it a different weekend, but I feel like the car's really good in the race. That shows it's quite easy to overtake, which is always helpful, but yeah, I feel like the team's doing a good job in qualifying as well. We just haven't been able to show it today.
2 more races this weekend. What can you do?
Just try and go forward again. I think there's going to be some chaos with some championship battles that I'm not in, which is good, so I'll just do my best I can.
Thanks very much for catching up with us, James. We'll let you go and chill out and get prepared for the last day, and then why don't we go Hugo Schwarzer. Hugo, it looked like you got a really good start.
To be honest, not that great. I nearly stalled on the grid. The lights were off for a long amount of time, so kind of thinking about whether I should put the clutch in again. But yeah, start wasn't great. Lost 1 position to Ping. But yeah, the race pace was really good, and managed to gain a place around the outside of Uguchukwu. So yeah, really happy with my performance.
Yeah, it's a really strong weekend from Elite in general. Of course, Mackenzie was right up there. Unfortunately, it looks like he had a bit of contact with Timothy Kuharczyk. We haven't seen it, so we'll call on that later. Of course, Jared getting on the podium, you right there. Elite always go well here.
They do, yeah. Well, last time I was here, I was a bit more inexperienced, so it's good to see the progress I made during the year.
Very much so, and of course, still 2 more races to go. Yeah. Another decent qualifying for yourself for race 2. What can you do?
A lot, I think. Obviously, we'll have to see about the tyre strategy of the others as well. So yeah, I think if I manage to get a good start of the line this time, I'll be able to make up some good positions.
Hugo, thanks for chatting to us. We'll let you get off. I think that's pretty much all the drivers we've got time for now. We're going to try not to get run over by some cars.
I did dare Hugo to speak German to you, but unfortunately das war nicht sehr gut because he didn't do it. But next time we'll get you and him speaking German. So that was quite an exciting race, and I think that it's probably a sign of what's to come tomorrow, right? 2 more races.
I really hope so. If the races this weekend are just like that, then we're in for a good show. It was great to hear that all the battles up and down the field. I was just chatting to Noah Ping just before we went live, and he said, he was right up the back of Gerard Shee, and he was giving him a bump draft at one point, but he just said it's difficult to overtake around here. But well, if you watch back the race, it clearly can't be that difficult.
Yeah, of course. So Naomi's going to be going out and getting some more interviews. We're going to hear hopefully from Timothy Kuharczyk and find out how he's feeling after going off and getting beached. Maybe Sean Rashid as well, find out what went wrong with Sean Rashid's car. So loads more content coming your way. Make sure you're checking the social media. And if you're Lewis, by the way, it's http:// www. The GB3 website. I think he said he's old school. He needs everything told to him. You can go there, check out the final classifications as well. We'll have the first race tomorrow on the GB3 Championship, the second race of the weekend at 10:30 in the morning, and of course we have the GB4 Championship coming up later today. So if you've enjoyed that, you want to watch GB4 as well, because that is always chaotic. The last
especially
race
here.
Last time at Snetterton, I mean, we didn't even know what the top 3 was going to be until halfway around the final lap, and it completely changed. It was fascinating. And also, if you're watching and you've seen the news this week, we're going to have a sneak peek at the brand new GB4 car for 2025. So you won't want to miss that. That's at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. We'll go live. So make sure you set a reminder for that. We'll be back for GB4 a little bit later then as that gets started here at Silverstone. Thank you for watching. Thank you to everyone watching around the world. Nice to see people from New Zealand and also from South Africa on the podium,
everywhere.
As well as our very own John Bennett from here in England. We'll be back tomorrow, as I say, 10:30 in the morning with the GB3 Championship. Watch all the highlights on social media very, very shortly.